have been promoted. That's the only reason. And depending on my mood, I sometimes remember some of your mates have also been fired. Would you? But that's just the way we are, isn't it? We move like that, which is why some brands have tapped into this. Well, Star, for instance, has done that really, really well. The whole camaraderie thing, friendship, and all of that. I have a theory that I'm working on. I have no proof. I have this belief that some cultures are lean towards some more temperaments than others. So I believe that Nigerian culture is an extroverted, leans towards the extroverted. You can't be an introvert in Nigeria. It's just wrong. Say you sit at home, you are drinking by yourself. What's wrong with you? Are you the devil? Your mates are drinking outside. Go and drink with your mates. You can't. Why are you here sitting? You say, you like drinking by yourself. Why? What's wrong with you that you're drinking? Go out, my friend. Your mates are outside. That's what you do. The value of an enemy. So Maslow says that, you've seen that hierarchy, right? So I argue that hierarchy is a Western construct completely. In our case, we don't try to achieve because we want to self-actualize. We try to achieve because there's an enemy. And the enemy is typically an uncle in the village that has said you will not become something. So I was listening to Olamide's latest album, The Glory. I have no idea why he used that name, but whatever. So there's a song there called Symbol of Hope. I think it's track 13. Very nice song. And if you listen to the chorus, it talks about how his enemies have told him he will never make it, and he has made it now, and he's showing them, and he's still going to continue to show them. And because of that, it's a symbol of hope to everybody. That I'm like, guy, you are rich now. There's no enemy anymore. Stop this. But, if you listen to every musician, there is an anti-hater track on their album. And that's usually the most popular track because it resonates with everybody. Guy is on his 10th album. He has won multiple awards, but he still has enemies. Yeah? So I took a taxi in Atlanta. Guy drives me from the airport. Immediately he speaks. From his accent, I know he's a Nigerian, from Niger Delta specifically. But I pretend, I keep quiet. And then he's driving and then he starts singing, all my enemies, God will punish you. And I'm like, well, you are in the US, you have a taxi business, your enemies didn't get visas. You are okay. But I know what's going on in his mind. He's thinking about that uncle in the village that said you will never make it as he's driving me. So he drove me to the hotel and said, okay, here's my card. You can, let me pick you up. And his card is Dominion International Taxi Services. I'm like, why would you? I think I actually have this card in my car because I keep it. Why would you name a taxi service Dominion? We have names like Uber and all of that, something more. But obviously in this guy's mind, and by the way, it's an international taxi service. One taxi, international. Uber doesn't call itself international. It's everywhere. This guy, Dominion International. And that card is for the uncle in the village. When he goes home during his, how are you, sir? This is my business. I'm now international. Then, it's Dominion, so that all my enemies will die. And that's why, when we're growing up, if you grow, I didn't grow up in Lagos, so I'm well behaved. If you're growing up and, you want to go out during the day and as you're stepping out, you hit your leg against a stone, what would your mom say? Your enemies they have a plan for you that day, so you need to pray extra, you need to be more wary. We need an enemy. It's part of the African construct. Our psychology is not complete unless we have an enemy. We must find an enemy. It's just the way we are. We're the only continent in the world that has a church dedicated specifically to enemies. It's not anywhere else in the world. The focus is enemies. So that church used to be, I used to live in a place where they had, this is a joke, it's not related to this. So they used to have service next to so it was really distressing because people were dying every day and all of that. So because they had prayers that would say all my enemies fall down and die for. So my landlady was upset because, our two boys, if you're from that church, I apologize. I'm just speaking marketing, sorry. Our two boys were playing one day and they were pointing to each other and they were saying, die, 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 and all of that. So one Saturday they were doing choir rehearsal. And of course they had megaphones as all churches do in Nigeria. And the choir master was playing the keyboard and was singing all the songs. I think the pastor must have walked out of the building briefly. All of a sudden this guy changes and he starts singing John Legend's All of Me. I'm confused. I'm like, you were killing enemies. So I figured it out that he probably has had a crush on one of the choir members for a while, but didn't know how to do it in front of the pastor. So just quickly, because a few minutes later, I went back to the enemy songs, and I knew the pastor was back. But we're the only continent in the world that has a church dedicated specifically for enemies. It's interesting. Pillars of religion. We won't talk about that. We know how that works. Very religious culture, religious belief drives everything we do. Consumption profile as a signal of your life's journey, and this is where I will end. Because we know that it's important that as you progress through life, you must signal your progress by changing your consumption profile, right? So Zuckerberg walking around in Lagos, one of the richest men in the world, wearing T-shirt and trousers, he is not a Nigerian. You cannot do that. If you are a Nigerian, you are a multimillionaire, we must see it by what you wear. When you come in, and all of that, So some of my friends were posting on Facebook and saying that, now we realize that people that wear suits work for people that wear T-shirts. In my mind, I'm like, remove your suit and see what will happen. You can't do it. It's just, you are the MD of a company, you now wear T-shirt. How? Your HR manager will call you and tell you that, if you are going through midlife crisis, there's a solution. But you simply cannot. You are the MD. How can you be dressing like one of the, it's not right. Forget the money you have. We have to see the money. So we used to hear in school that Warren Buffett, billionaire, whatever, lives in the same house, drives the same car for whatever. I'm like, it's not a Nigerian. It's not possible. When I became MD or whatever, so some of the guys came to me and said that I need to change my shirts. I said, why? I like my shirts. He said, because people will not know that you are now the MD. If they are seeing the same shirts, that you have to change the shirt. I said, no. He said, no, you must. This thing is important so that they can see that you are the MD and it's clear that there's a difference between you and, you see how we go broke in Nigeria, and all of that. But you have to do it. It's just the same thing. The same reason why, let me tell you the latest problem I have now. I have all these cultural problems. So I like old cars, which is a problem, right? So I decided that, okay, I drive one Benz E200. So I decided 2012 model. So I said, okay, I've driven this car for a while. It's nice. But I like the ML350, particularly the 2008 design. So I said, you know what, I'll sell this 2012 model and buy this thing. That got me into serious problem. So I got conversations like, you will not move backward in life in Jesus' name. How can you move from 2012 to 2008? No. So I went around and had the conversation. I'm like, okay, well, it's my friends in the office, not their business. Let me go and ask my wife what she thinks. So she starts by saying, it's a very fine car. It's a very fine car. But we should be going forward in life. 2012, the next number should be not 2000 and, so that whole thing of, rich people collecting classic cars, it doesn't happen here. You have to. One time my chairman who loves BMW, bought the latest BMW and took it home to his mom. And the mom prayed over the car because in Nigeria we pray over cars. And if you are lucky, they anoint the car as well because apparently the car drives itself. You understand? Outward referencing. The reason you will not have accident in that car is not because you are a careful driver, but because they prayed over the car. Cars drive themselves, Anyway, so the mother prays and the mother says, God bless you, whatever, and all of that, and says, and you will have the one that is better than this. And the man asked his mother, wait, this is the latest BMW 7 Series. What is better? The mother said, no. Benz is the biggest car. It's what big men drive. Until you have that one. So the man went to buy a Benz and took it home for prayers. Then the mom said, now you have brought the car. And then prayed over it and all of that. Because as you're progressing, you must. So I think one application to this, for instance, if you have a portfolio of products that range across consumption levels, for instance, you can actually develop a marketing strategy that you start to groom consumers at the lower end of your spectrum for your more premium products. Because trust me, their dream is one day to consume the premium products, right? So if some way you can bundle your marketing strategies in a way that while they are consuming, your VFM products, you start to give them a taste of your premium products. You prepare you prepare them for that. Yeah, right? I mean, I know people love Samsung and whatever and all these Android phones, but everybody wants to buy an iPhone. Is that not so? Exactly, because that is proof that you've progressed in life. So, finally, a proverb: if you want to travel fast, you travel alone. That's a Western construct, isn't that so? If you want to travel far, you go together. That's why the average age of multimillionaires in Nigeria is 61. This is a data by McKinsey and all of that. And why is that so? If you become a multimillionaire at the age of 28 and whatever, you must be a wicked man, because that means you didn't help the people around you. You should distribute the wealth. And when everybody have succeeded in your family and all of that, then you are now permitted to succeed. By that time, you are 61. Is that not so? Uh-huh. And you cannot be a particular age and drive some cars. So when I started driving a Benz, simply because I loved the brilliant German engineer, police used to stop me all the time. And the question was always, are you the owner of this car? And I'll ask them, look at my suit. Do I look like the driver? Then the next question is always, are you not too young to drive this kind of car? And I respond, I didn't steal it from you, so what's your problem? But I knew what was going on, because that's what you drive when you have arrived. Yeah? You've journeyed through life. You've moved with your mates. You've done the things that your mates are doing. When they are buying Nissan, you buy Nissan. When they are buying Toyota, you buy Toyota. When they are buying Benz, you buy Benz. By this time, you're 61. And you've helped everybody and all of that. So this is who we are. Thank you very much.
Feyi, thank you. Thank you. I hope you will forgive me, Feyi, because I have made many mistakes coming to Nigeria. I would like to give you something to say thank you